Okay, so good afternoon. Ako po si Nenet de la Cruz. So thank you sa pag-accept dun sa aking lecture as on this training on soil health management. Okay, let me start by this special inspiration by me, written by then U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt, which is a nation that destroys its soils, destroys itself. No? So, totoo naman yan. So, let me start with the topic on understanding your soil. This is all about soil health management. So, when we are trying to study our soil science, so it is actually studying your soil science in its whole essence, and that is this picture is a soil profile, and this is required in terms of understanding or studying the soil for crop production. Okay, so let us have some important meaning of what a soil is, or the importance of soil in our agriculture. So the soil is one of the most important and indispensable natural resources of any country, and I think that's correct. Why? Because man's basic needs, which are our food, shelter, and clothing, directly or indirectly are derived from the soil. So pag walang lupa, walang buhay. So people are dependent on soils, and to a certain extent, good soils are dependent upon people and how they use it. So, which means that human beings or human interventions or activities in the soil will dictate whether we are having a good soil for the use of the future generation. So actually, it is a natural body. So pag sinabi nating natural body is God-given, no? It's God-given. It is a natural body where plants grow. So ito yung definition natin as agriculturists or home gardeners for the word soils. But in some books, soil is defined as to where it came from. So there are some other meaning for humankind than as a habitat for crops. So iba-iba naman yung meaning ng iba-ibang gumagamit nito. So if you are a mining engineer, then you will be having a different meaning. So for this afternoon, we will define soil as a natural body where plants grow. Okay, so the prime requisite, okay, how will I, is to have a general concept of what it is, no? So let us have this general definition of what a soil is. It is a collection of dynamic natural bodies. If we say a dynamic natural body, it changes regularly, no? It changes with time and with human intervention, occupying parts of the earth's surface that support plants. Okay, that support plants. And the properties of a soil that will be formed is a function of the integrated effect of climate and living matter acting upon parent material. So parang tao lang din yun. We are affected by climate and living matter surrounding us. As conditioned by relief over a period of time. So mayroong time element in terms of how soil is developed. So okay, you can intercept me if you have some meaning or some question, or we may have it at the Q&A portion. So let me just give you a glimpse of how a soil is formed, no? So it is formed from the weathering or decay of rocks, because if we do not do this, it will be very difficult for us to understand soil in relation to crop production. So naniniwala ba kayo ito ay galing sa weathering or decay of rocks, the huge rocks that you can see along the mountains when you travel? So those are the original parents of our soils. So with time, the rocks decay very slowly and may take thousands of years or more before they become soil. So ganun katagal bago makadevelop na tayo ng isang inch ng soil. So the main parent materials are the rock, no? So these are the sources of our soil. So which means that the characteristics of the soil that is developed is dependent on the characteristics of the rocks. Parang tao lang din yan. Ang ating mga features, physical features, is dependent on the genetic makeup of our parents. Okay, so we have these factors of soil formation as a function of weathering, no? Climate, organisms relieve parent materials in time. So, which means that the characteristics or the quality of the soil that will be developed is dependent on these 5 general factors. Okay, so the weathering process, we call it as the soil formation process. So matagal yung process na to. Okay, so let me tell you that with time, sabi natin kanina, thousands of years before we can develop an inch of soil. So if the weathering process is finished, soil is formed in a soft profile form, no? Ito na yung developed na soil. Although this is not a young soil, this is not a newly developed soil, but this would represent how the soil is, no? So as a gardener or as an agriculturist, we are concerned only on the, usually we are concerned more on the, not only more on the surface soil. So this is a complete soil profile. So wherein you have the organic horizons. We call the individual layers at the organic horizons. How important this is? Importante kasi alamin natin yung different horizons of the soil profile kasi yung characteristics nito dito sa ibaba would affect the performance of the crop at the surface soil. So saglit lang nating daanan itong ating mga horizons, no, itong ating mga horizons. A complete soil should have the organic horizons of mineral soils, no? Unfortunately, ang mga soils natin ngayon are agricultural land or agricultural soils, nawawala na itong organic horizons. But we can see these organic horizons in the virgin forest. You have accumulation of organic materials to form the organic matter. So this is composed of some fresh or partly decomposed organic materials containing more than 30% organic matter if the mineral fraction is more than 50% in the clay. So again, as I've said, wala na halos itong organic layer ng ating mga agricultural land. So the second is the top layer. This is the A horizon. This is the surface soil. This is the most important thing in crop production. So we have to take care of this surface soil by not letting it be tawag dito yung soil loss or erosion. But in the mountainous areas, parang wala na tayong A horizon because this is the most active horizons of the soil profile. This is where our agricultural crops grow. This is where the microbial activities are at maximum. So whatever is the characteristics of the surface layer of the A layer would dictate how much are we going to spend in order to grow our own food, no? The second or the third on the layer is the subsoil. This is the zone where some of the materials migrating from A tend to accumulate. So this is the subsoil. Ito usually beyond 30 centimeters. So yung A horizon is usually 0 to 30 centimeters and below 30 centimeters is the subsoil. So, so if your A layer is only 10 centimeters, we have some problem. No? We have some problem about soil management. And the characteristics of the subsoil would affect the crop performance because of the possible problem properties in the subsoil would affect the activities right there in the A horizon. Okay, so we have the C. This is the unconsolidated parent material. So usually, pag pag malalim yung ating true soil or the regolith, hindi natin nakikita itong unconsolidated parent materials pag tayo ay naghuhukay ng ating soil profile. Okay? So the R is the consolidated bedrock. So yung ilalim ng ating lupa is the consolidated bedrock. So yan yung kabuuan ng ating soil profile. No, that is the whole of the soil profile. Okay, let me explain to you how are we going to understand the soil by means of the first slide, which is the factors of plant growth. Again, as I've said, we are having this kind of webinar because we want to see the relationship of soil in relation to crop growth or crop production. So the growth of our crops or plant is determined by many factors, which more or less are four. No, we have the soil, the climate, genetics, and management. So take note that why the soil is in red font, no, naka-red alert siya, because this is the most important one. Because without soil, we don't have crop. Diba? Although ngayon sabi nila meron tayong hydroponics, pero nakapatong pa rin sa soil yun. Why it is red alert? Kasi ito rin yung factors of plant growth na hindi masyadong nabibigyan ng pansin ng ating gobyerno in terms of funding, no? We have a lot of money for climate kasi nandiyan yung climate change, di ba? Kasalanan ni climate change lahat marami. Genetics, I think we have so many high yielding variety. There are some private companies who are into developing hybrid crops like rice, corn, and the vegetables. So marami ding ginagawa dito sa genetics. In terms of management, I think the government, the Department of Agriculture is spending a lot of money in terms of training on crop management, no? May mga FFS nga tayo yung farmer field school in terms of integrated pest management, livestock management, madami to. But seldom that we see FFS, farmer field school in terms of soil management. Parang wala, no? Parang wala. Kaya nung makita ko yung announcement dito sa Philippine Agriculture Webinar, try ko nga, interested. Tapos sinagot naman nila ako agad. Maybe because they also recognize that we really have some very, very few people who are trying to do some seminar about soil management. Okay, so again, this is another figure on how important the soil is in terms of crop production. So naka-red alert talaga siya sa akin. Okay. So why is it in red alert? Ano ba yung importansya nitong soil in terms of crop production? Sabi niya, what are the needs of the plant from the soil or plant need of the soil? The soil should be able to provide the plants with, take note, adequate amount of available nutrients. Explain natin isa-isa. Sufficient amount of water to satisfy evapotranspiration needs of plants. Favorable environment for root growth. And adequate amount of air. Oh, I'm sorry. Adequate amount of air in the soil. So take note of these four, which are the very important factors in crop production, no? The crop production. So pala naman, the soil should be able to provide the plants with adequate amount of available nutrients. So kaya ba ng soil natin yan? I think yes, if our soil is healthy, then it can provide the adequate amount of available nutrients. So what does this imply? So pag kaya pala ng soil natin ibigay ito, hindi na natin kailangan gumastos ng pataba para bumili, no? Kaya lang, kaya pa ba? Sufficient amount of water to satisfy evapotranspiration needs of plants. Hindi pala natin kailangan ng maraming dams, di ba? So, konti lang pala sana kailangan natin kung naalagaan natin yung ating lupa. Kasi sabi niya, kaya niyang ibigay itong mga kailangan ng halaman. Favorable environment for root growth. Okay? So pagka ang soil environment hindi siya favorable sa root growth, hindi siya lalaki ng maganda. Ngayon, kung healthy pala yung soil natin, kaya naman pala to, no? And then adequate amount of air in the soil. So take note that the what gas that we have in the atmospheric air, we have the oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and all of these things. They are also present in the soil. No, they're also present in the soil. Only that carbon dioxide concentration is higher in the soil air than in the atmospheric air. So, kailangan pa rin ng ating halaman itong ating adequate amount of air in the soil. Okay. So, what makes the soil to be ideal for plant growth then, no? So, anong kailangan characteristics ng soil natin para maging ideal for plant growth? So, this is very academic. Sabi niya, favorable physical properties, no? So ito hindi nabibigyan ng pansin ngayon na ating programa puro tayo chemical properties, yung pataba, maasim na lupa. So what makes the soil ideal? It should have the favorable physical properties. Then which means that if you have a favorable physical properties, you will have good aeration and drainage. So aeration, sabi natin, kailangan natin ng exchange of gases in and out of the soil system. Pag hindi, malalason din yung ugat ng ating mga halaman. So this aeration and drainage is dependent on the bulk density, soil resistance, and soil texture. So importante, alamin natin mamaya ano bang mga role nitong mga to. Proper moisture holding capacity, this is determined by organic matter and clay content as well as soil texture and structure. So, madali lang bang gawin to? Ano na bang itsura ng ating halaman in terms of physical properties? Yan, sagutin natin mamaya. Okay? Favorable chemical properties, no? Favorable chemical properties. Sabi niya optimal reaction, okay? Or this is the optimal pH. Pag sinabi nating optimal pH, this is the pH level where availability of nutrients is high for plant absorption. Okay? So ito ang isa sa pinaka-importanteng factor that would make the soil to be ideal for plant growth. Okay? So mamaya di-discuss natin yun. The soil should have a high buffer capacity. Ano ba yung buffer capacity? Buffer capacity is the ability of the soil to resist sudden change when there is addition of new compounds. So, hindi siya agad-agad magre-react. Halimbawa, yung acidic soil ninyo, naglagay tayo ng lime, hindi agad-agad magre-react yan kasi meron siyang buffering capacity. Why? Kasi para makaiwas tayo sa shock. Aftershock ng halaman natin dun sa sudden change in the chemical reaction of whatever compound is added in the soil. Ideal soils should have high nutrient holding capacity, or that is the cation exchange capacity. Why? If we have a high nutrient holding capacity, this indicates that our soil is fertile. So kailangan pala itong mataas yung CEC. So, pag pinagsama natin itong CEC at optimal pH, then we'll have the best soil for providing nutrient with our crop. No? Then the soil should be absence of toxic materials, whether that is organic and inorganic compounds. So, toxic materials like our heavy metals. So, take note na wala tayong ibang ang tawag dito, tambakan ng ating mga waste kundi yung ating soil, no? So if the soil not be able to process whatever toxic materials is dumped into our soil, may problema tayo sa crop production. So ang ideal soil, kayang-kaya niya yang i-detoxify whatever or i-degrade whatever toxic materials are dumped in the soil. Okay, so sabi niya, favorable, number 3 is the soil should have a favorable properties. Pag sinabi natin favorable properties, it has to ensure the active functioning of the beneficial organisms. So kailangan mas active yung ating beneficial organisms than our pathogenic organisms. So an ideal soil should this active functioning of the beneficial organisms and suppress activity of harmful organisms. So pag daw mas marami itong ating beneficial organisms, kaya nilang isuppress yung activity ng harmful organisms. So which means that a very good load, beneficial microbial load, parang walang masyadong magiging sakit yung ating mga halaman. These are the soil-borne pathogen. No? And then, the last but not the least is our soil should provide abundant and well-balanced nutrient supply, no? So, ideal yun eh. Abundant and well-balanced nutrient supply. So, pag sinabi natin nutrient supplies, we are more concerned on the 16 essential elements, no? So dito makikita nyo ay 19 siya kasi may nadagdag na vanadium, sodium, and silicon, but these are not essential elements anyway. They are not essential but they are specific. Kaya iba po yung essential sa important. Okay po? Yung essential, hindi makukumpleto yung life cycle pag kulang yung 16. Pag importante lang, kahit wala siya, magbubunga yung ang ating mga halaman, hindi lang siguro siya ganun kataas yung magiging yield. Because these are important nutrients in increasing the yield of specific crops. So, yun yung ideal na ating soil for plant growth. No? Meron pa ba tayo niyan? Ang tanong, meron pa ba tayo niyan? Siya, mamaya tingnan natin. No? Parang wala na eh. Okay? So, a normal soil, sabi natin yung ideal soil should have this composition, no? By volume. Yan. Ang normal soil daw, or ideal soil, should have 50% porosity. Ito po yun. We have the air and the water space. These are porous spaces. Ito yun. 20 to 30% should be the porous space, 50%. And the soil solid should be 50%. Wherein, 45% should be the mineral solids. Ito po yun. And 5% should be the organic matter, no? 5% should be the organic matter. Ito po yung normal. Yan. Sige, tandaan nyo yun na, 5% yung normal. Mamaya, pag inano natin yung ano ng problema, no? At what is the current status of our agricultural land, no? Wala na po tayong agricultural land na 5% ang soil organic matter. Less than 5%. It's even less than 3%. Okay, so ito po yung ideal. Pag ganito po yung soil natin, lahat ng sinabi natin na mga kailangan ng halaman, kaya niyang ibigay. Okay? Yon. So pag kaya niyang ibigay, libre pala sana, no? Yung mga inputs. Yan. So now we have to, madaming properties po yung ating soils in relation to some other uses, but I will be, because time limit, I'll be concentrating more on the important soil properties that have direct relationship to crop production. No? Ito yung importante na alamin natin kung ano epekto nito pag tayo nagtanim ng specific crops. Okay. Let's start with the physical properties of the soil. As the name implies, physical properties, these are the characteristics which can be seen with the eye or felt between the thumb and finger. So, ibig sabihin, nakakarakterize natin kasi nakikita natin sila. Okay? Halimbawa, soil color. So, nakikita natin yan brown, black, yellow, orange, pink. So, nakikita natin yon. Texture, sabi niya, felt between the thumb and fingers. Nakikita nyo ba ang itsura ng sand? Nararamdaman nyo ba kung ano yung feeling pagka nirab natin yung sand in between our thumb and fingers? So, yun po yung mga physical properties. Parang sa tao lang din yan. Pag pinadescribe sa'yo, describe this lady physically. Sabi, mahabang buhok, brown yung kulay, o kaya balingkinitan, whatever. So why? Saan galing itong mga physical properties ng ating soil? Ito po yung inherited, or these are based on the characteristics of the parent materials. Kaya po meron tayong white beach, meron tayong pink beach, meron tayong brown soil, we have the yellow soil because these are the dominant color characteristic of the parent materials. Okay po? Yan. Yan. They are the result of soil parent materials being acted upon by the factors of soil formation. So, depende po kung anong dominant factors ng soil formation ang nag-i-exist sa isang lugar kung saan meron tayong perit materials, and this would affect the weathering process, and to some extent, this might have some effect on what are the physical properties of the soil. Okay po? Yan. So, these are properties and to some extent some composition that would largely determine the suitability of a soil for its plant use. Okay, so halimbawa, meron tayong land use plan. These are basically more dependent on the physical properties and to some extent to the chemical composition. And as such, the management requirements to keep it most productive is dependent on the soil. Okay, physical properties. Halimbawa, your soil is more of the sandy texture soil, so you can determine hindi pwede dyan yung palay kasi tutubo siya pero magastos at malamang malulugi tayo. Parang ganun po yun. Okay, so the management requirements to keep it most productive, sabi ko nga, wala namang, sabi ko, ako kasi naniniwala na there is no barren soil, only barren mind. So magbabari lang yung management requirements. So basta merong tumubong damo sa isang lugar, sigurado ako tutubo yung halaman doon. Okay? Only we have to determine what management requirements we have to employ in order to make it most productive. Okay. Yeah. So ano na itong mga different physical properties na to that would have a direct effect relationship with crop production, no? Una is the soil texture. Oops, sorry. So the soil texture is the relative amounts of the differently sized soil particles, or these are the percentages of sand, silt, and clay in a certain volume of soil, no? Okay. So, o kaya, ito yung qualitatively, we can determine soil texture by the fineness or coarseness of the mineral particles in the soil. So, it means soil texture is dependent on the mineral particles in the soil. How much sand, how much silt, and how much clay. This is the reason why we are sieving our soil when we do analysis, because we want to separate only the soil particles, and these are these particles that have a maximum diameter of 2 millimeters. So, ibig sabihin yan, lahat ng soil particles na mas mataas sa 2 millimeter, hindi po siya kasama dun sa soil texture, hindi po natin isinasama yun sa soil analysis. So ito lang po yung tinitingnan natin when it comes to crop production. So take note, ito pong definition ng soil texture, wala siyang organic matter, no? Wala siyang soil organic matter. Sand, silt, and clay lang yan eh. So which means that texture is developed pedogenically. So it is dependent on the parent materials. Kaya permanent property po itong soil texture. So, ibig sabihin yan, hindi po siya mababago kahit maglagay kayo ng damakmak na organic matter, hindi po pwedeng mabago yon. So, ibig sabihin, kung ang lupa ninyo ay more of the buhangining galas o lagkiting galas, mananatiling lagkiting galas yan hanggat hindi nagkakaroon ng natural deposition because of lahar flow o kaya volcanic eruption, so nababago. Pero hindi siya mababago ng management practices. So ibig sabihin, huwag po kayong maniniwala pag sinabi nilang you add soil organic matter to improve the soil texture. That is a big no. Hindi po yan maapektuhan. Okay po? Kaya kung pinamanahan ka na ang parents mo ng medyo of the sandy textured soil, magpasalamat ka, pero may management naman yun on how are you going to make it productive in a lesser amount. So, kaya mananatili na po buhangining galas po yun. Hindi siya pwedeng maging clay. Ngayon, kung gusto mong maging clay artificially, magtatambak ka ng mga truck load ng mga clay para magkaroon man lang ng clay yung iyong lupa. Okay po. Yan. So, ito po yung importante po ito yun kasi hindi nga, sabi ko nga, hindi siya nababago eh. So ito pong ibig sabihin niyan, mayroon po tayong tatlong textural group, no? Meron tayo ng sandy, you have the loamy and the clayey. Importante pong alamin ninyo yung nakabase po dito sa salt triangle yan, kung saan ba dito yung lupa ninyo. Kasi this would define what is the most economical crop you have to plant in a certain land. Okay? Ito po yung magdidetermine ano yung proper land use na pwede nating gawin para doon sa klase ng ating soil. Okay po. So ito po, 12 po actually to. So meron tayo ng, the general group is the sandy, the loamy, and the clay. The ideal po is the loamy soil, no? Kasi ano yan yun. Ito kasi magaspang, ito sobrang lagkit, ito nasa gitna lang. So ideal, ito yung loamy. So meron po tayo niyan, sand, loamy sand, makikita niyo po yun. Importante po mga trainees natin, alamin niyo na kung ano yung klase ng lupa ninyo. Ano po? So, malalaman niyo naman pagka dito sa buhanginin, yung nasa dulo, ito po kasi yung final na textural classes eh. Pansinin nyo, pagka nasa coarse textured soil, ito po yung coarse textured soil or the sandy group or tinatawag din natin itong light textured soil, no? So, sand in loamy sand. Ibig sabihin niyan, nasa dulo ay sand. Okay po? Dito po sa loamy, these are the moderately coarse with the medium and moderately fine. So, ang pinakamaganda po itong nasa medium, no? Pag tiningnan po natin ito, parang hirap namang tandaan kung saan ba yung lupa ko diyan. Ito pa tingnan nyo. Ito yung tip. Pagka loamy, nasa dulo naman po ay loam, except for the silt, no? Siyempre, silt, nasa gitna yan eh. Sandy loam, silt loam, silt, clay loam, sandy clay loam, and silty clay loam. So, kita nyo po yon. So, dito rin, pagka moderately coarse, yung una ay sandy, pero loam yung dulo. No po? And then loam, the silt loam, the silt clay loam, sandy clay loam, silty clay loam. So, ito po yung isa sa magagandang klase ng ating texture, no, ng lupa. And then the last one is the clayey soil. These are the fine textured soil or tinatawag din natin yung heavy textured soil, no? Bakit light and heavy? It depends on how easy it is to prepare the land during the crop production. So tatlo po ito, sandy clay, silty clay at saka clay. So lahat din po ng clayey or fine textured soil, yung dulo po ay clay. So madali lang naman pong tandaan na po. Yan. Kasi ang hirap kayang i-memorize yan. Okay? So tandaan nyo lang yung dulong classification, makikita nyo po yan kung meron kayong soil map doon sa inyong lugar, nandiyan po yung textural groupings. Kung hindi naman, pwede naman ninyong i-analyze yan. Okay. So anong importansya ng soil texture sa plants, okay? The textural classification of your soil will have an effect on relative resistance to root penetration. So sabi niya, gaano ka-importante itong root penetration, kung hindi mahihirapan siyang mag-penetrate, mahihirapan ding mag-grow yung roots natin. So pag poor yung root growth, poor din yung above ground biomass. So parang ano lang eh, kung ano nasa ibabaw dictate how good the roots are. So dito po sa relative resistance to root penetration, yung clayey soil mas mataas po yung relative resistance kaysa dun sa sandy soil. So mas madaling mag-penetrate yung root sa sandy. Infiltration of water, how important is this? Infiltration is the entry of water into the surface of the soil, no? So pagka mababang infiltration rate ng ating water, nagkakaroon tayo ng runoff. Halimbawa, mas intense po yung ating rainfall, or the rainfall intensity is higher than the infiltration rate. So, naiipon po ngayon yung tubig sa ibabaw, nagkakaroon tayo ng runoff o nagkakaroon tayo ng baha, no? Bigla ang baha. kapag bigla ba kasi mababang infiltration ng water. So yung clayey soil po, in general, ang clayey soil, mababa po yung infiltration rate kaysa dun sa sandy soil. So pansinin niyo naman yan, halimbawa, naglagay kayo ng tubig sa isang light textured soil, saglit lang bumababa yung tubig, di ba, ang bilis? Kasi matataas po yung pore spaces ng ating sandy soil. Okay? Yan. Yung water holding capacity, importante po to kasi ito yung ability of the soil to hold water with time, no? So, limbawa, nagpatubig kayo ngayon, kailangan yung tubig na inilagay nyo magtatagal dun sa lupa para mapakinabangan ng halaman natin ng mas matagal. Okay. So, yung sand po, although mabilis yung infiltration rate dun sa sand, pero mababa ang water holding capacity. So, ibig sabihin yan, pag ang soil ninyo is dominated by the sand particles, which is on the light textured soil, mas madalas kayong magpapatubig, mas magastos. Ano po? Kasi, halimbawa, binatubigan yung isang pinitak, baka hindi pa kayo nakakalayo dun sa inalisan ninyo, wala na kaagad yung tubig sa ibabaw. So, the sand will have a very low water holding capacity where clay is a very high water holding capacity. Lagi po nasa gitna yung loam or the loamy group, no? Yan. Soil fertility. So take note that soil fertility is the ability of the soil to provide the available nutrients in proper amount and in proper form for the absorption of plant for its normal growth, okay? So usually po or in general, pagka po clay soil or nasa light textured soil tayo, mas mataas po yung soil fertility level kasi po mas mataas yung specific surface area or mas mataas yung nutrient holding capacity. So pag pinag-usapan po natin yung soil fertility, we are referring to the cation exchange capacity or the nutrient holding or nutrient retention capacity. So, ang clay soil po natin, mas mataas yung soil fertility level kaysa dun sa ating sandy soil. Yung soil aeration, in-explain natin kanina kung ano to, this is the exchange of gases in and out of the soil rhizosphere. Importante yan para hindi mag-accumulate ng toxic gases dun sa root zone, kagaya ng methane gas. Pagka nag-accumulate dun sa root, hindi maganda aeration, mamamatay yung halaman natin. So of course, yung clay soil will have a lower, poorer aeration than the sandy soil because of a larger pore spaces. Mas marami yung macropores kasi ng sandy soil kaysa dun sa clay soil. So ito po yung mga characteristics or processes within the soil that would affect the growth and development of our crops. Okay. Yan, importante po yun. So, ibig sabihin yan, pagka ba clay soil, yung sandy soil yung lupa ko, wala na bang pag-asa doon para tumaas yung water holding capacity? Meron naman po. Sa soil health management, pag-uusapan natin. Okay po. So, pangalawa po na importanteng physical property is the soil structure or the aggregates. Okay? O, alam niyo naman yung soil aggregates o kaya mga agriculture graduates dyan or soil beds or ito yung these are the composition of the soil structures, also our sand, silt, and clay, no? And they are usually grouped together in the form of aggregates. Okay. Kaya pag ang lupa ninyo ay pinong-pino, alikabok, may problema tayo sa soil structure. Ibig sabihin yan, hindi sila nagpo-form ng aggregates. Okay. So ang soil structure po ay isa sa pinaka-importanting soil physical property. So this is something to do with the arrangement of these individual separates or your sand, silt, and clay and their aggregates into certain defined patterns. So ito po yung, di ba meron tayong black-like, meron tayong granular structure, meron tayong plate-like structure because this is something to do with the movement of water within the system, no? Or erosion yan, makaka-apekto. Or dun sa pagiging buhaghag ng lupa natin. So ang may sala po niyan is our soil structure. So naalala ko yung ano ni Ma'am Amy nung merong budget hearing na yung lupa na daw nila sa Ilocos ay buhangin na ayun na daw. Alikabok na daw. So ibig sabihin ay deteriorated na ng gusto. So this is unlike your soil texture which is permanent property, hindi na apektuhan ng management ng human intervention. Yung structure po is dependent on how we manage our soil organic matter. Okay po? Pag sira po yung structure natin, this would reflect very poor aeration, this would reflect compaction, this possible compaction, this would reflect very poor nutrient or ion movement within the system. So, kasi po, dun sa process of aggregation, dito po nadidevelop yung ating micropores at saka macropores or the pore spaces. Okay? So, ibig sabihin yan, kahit po yung inyong lupa ay dominated by sand particles, halimbawa nandun sa light textured soil, pag maganda po yung structural development niyan, maganda po yung aggregation process, baka po mas maganda pa yung water hold, magiging maganda pa yung water movement noon or in terms of nutrient and water holding capacity kaysa dun sa clay na hindi siya well structured. Okay, so ito po yung nagde-determine nung sustainability ng ating soil crop production. This is very important na po. So in short, ito po ay affected ng ating activities in the farm. So ibig sabihin niyan, halimbawa po ay tayo ay nag-aararo ng ating bukid na hindi tama yung moisture status, masisira po yung structure natin. So take note na ang structure po na na-develop o nabuo ng halimbawa 5 taon, pwede pong masira sa isang pagkakamali ng pag-aararo, time ng pag-aararo relative to moisture status. Okay. So structure would define or would refine the negative impact of a poor soil texture in terms of nutrient and water holding capacity. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, kung ganyan na yung lupa ninyong pinamana, meron namang paraan. We have to ensure that structure or aggregate formation is good. Okay po. Yan. So this structure, good soil structure would modify the influence of texture in regards to moisture and air relationship. So nakita natin kayo moisture retention and aeration, availability of plant nutrients, and action of microorganisms, and ultimately plant growth. So therefore, dahil kaya niyang i-modify yung influence ng texture, may pag-asa pa kung masyadong clay yung lupa ninyo, gusto nyong magtanim ng halaman na hindi masyadong sensitive sa waterlogged condition. So pwede nyong i-modify yon para tumaas yung gumanda yung drainage capacity ng ating soil through proper management to ensure a very good aggregate formation or structure formation. Ayan. So the key to sustainable crop production is a well-managed, strong aggregate stability. So take note of the word stability. Pag sinabi natin stability, kahit yan, kahit malakas yung patak ng ulan, pagka po strong yung ating aggregate at stable siya, hindi siya basta-basta madudurog. Okay? So if that is the case, ibig sabihin na hindi naman yung sobrang tigas magkaiba yon. Ay, hindi siya matigas na matigas, pero hindi siya basta-basta nadudurog. Okay? So that is the key to sustainable production, so well-managed, strong aggregate stability. And how are we going to come up with this strong aggregate stability? Then we have to manage correctly our soil organic matter. Ang sagot lang po niyan ay soil organic matter. So if we have a normal soil, which is 5% soil organic matter, I am 110% that the aggregate is stable, and it is very strong. Okay. So next is soil density and pore spaces. So magkakasama po kasi itong tatlo na to, magkakamag-anak sila. Okay. So particle density, bulk density, and porosity. Itong particle density po ito, alam natin yung mass over, weight over volume ang density. Na pag sinabi nating particle density, ito yung density ng individual particles. So ibig sabihin yan, kung ano yung space na na-occupy nitong individual particles na ito, and that is the particle density. So hindi yan nababago. Okay? So more or less, this is an inherent, the true density of the soil is the particle density. Nababago lang yan pagka ang dominant minerals ay mas mataas yung particle density ng dominant minerals. Tumataas po yan sa 2.65 grams per cc. So in average po, a normal soil should have a particle density of 2.65 grams per cc. So hindi po siya naapektuhan ng management practices, okay? Yung bulk density po, take note of the word bulk. So ibig sabihin, this is the weight of the individual particles over the total volume of the soil. So take note, ito po yung volume lang na naokupahan ng ating solids. So pag binilikan nyo yung ating composition ng soil kanina, hindi na pinakikialaman yung occupied by the pore spaces or the air and water spaces. Yung bulk density po, that is the weight of the particles divided by the volume occupied by air, water, and the solid particles. So ibig sabihin yan, dahil kasama dun sa density yung pore spaces, pagka compacted yung lupa natin, compact o siksik yung lupa natin, mataas po yung bulk density. Kasi tataas po yung timbang nung ating individual particles at the same volume of 1 cubic centimeter kunyari, siyempre tataas po yung bulk density. In normal soil usually have an average bulk density 1.33 grams per cc. So pagka po 1.33 grams ito, and if you have that 5% organic matter, taas ito yung particle density natin is 2.65 or 2.66. The porosity is 50%. So that is ideal po. Because porosity is the ratio between the particle density and the bulk density. So porosity po. So yan, pagka po ang bulk density nyo ay tumaas sa 1.33 grams per cc, ibig sabihin po yan, nag-uumpisa ng maging compacted yung lupa natin. Mag-iimsang nasisiksik na yung lupa. So minsan hindi natin nakikita kasi yung pagsiksik nag-uumpisa sa subsoil. No? Wala namang nasisiksik, una yung surface bago yung ilalim. So pag nasisiksik yung lupa natin, nauuna ilalim. So ibig sabihin, pag mataas po yung bulk density, ang porosity natin ay mababa. Okay po? Pag mababang bulk density, ang porosity natin ay mataas. So ibig sabihin, this relationship would indicate hug your space, no? Or is mechanical farming practices, hindi siya basta-basta nasisiksik. Okay? Hindi po siya basta-basta masisiksik. Okay. On the other hand, pagka po ang porosity natin ay masyado ng mababa dahil mababa na ating organic matter, 110% sigurado ako yung surface soil nyo ay siksik na yon. Okay? Compacted na yung lupa natin. Okay. So anong importansya nitong relationship ng bulk density and porosity? Sabi niya, bulk density governs the movement of air and water in the soil due to its effect on porosity. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, pag mababa po sa 1.33 grams per cc yung bulk density natin, nag-uumpisa siyang masiksik, so may problema tayo sa movement of air and water. Pwede tayo magkaroon ng problema na ang waterlogged condition kasi hindi siya basta-basta bumababa yung tubig. Pwede tayong magkaroon ng problema doon sa gas accumulation kasi yung movement of air is very poor. Okay? So, the bulk density determination is one way of determining the degree of compaction. Ito po ginagawa doon sa laboratory, pero meron naman tayo bukas ang ano yung practical na itsura ng ating lupa pag pinutubigan, that would indicate that there is a degree of compaction already in the subsoil. So sabi niya, if a soil is compact, the roots might find it difficult to push in between the mineral particles. So may problema tayo sa root growth. So when the pore space is less than 40%, mechanical impedance may restrict root growth. So meron na tayong magkakaroon ng mechanical impedance, meron na tayong hard pan. Magkakaroon tayo ng hard pan dun sa ating profile sa subsoil. So pag may hard pan doon po yun, kahit ilagay nyo lahat yung pataba na gusto nyong ilagay doon sa inyong halaman, pwedeng hindi gumanda yung halaman ninyo. Tapos, bakit ayaw gumanda ng halaman ko? Baka peke yung fertilizer na nilagay ko. Or baka po meron tayong mechanical impedance doon sa subsoil that would restrict root growth. Pag restricted po yung root growth natin, restricted din po yung above ground growth, no? So, ganun po talaga yun. Okay. The next is a salt field. Maring sa inyo, iba sa inyo nasasabi, sabi niya, the land will be prepared by alternate plowing and harrowing in order to come up with a good salt field. Ano ba yung salt field natin sinasabi? This has, when soil has a favorable physical condition, so take note yung favorable physical condition natin kanina, we have the 50% porosity. It is said to have a good field. Such a soil is porous and allows water to enter easily instead of running off. Okay? So, yun po yung rason kung bakit tayo nag-alternate plowing and harrowing. We want to come up with a good soil structure in order to allow water to enter easily within the soil system. Para wala tayong runoff. Okay? Wala tayong plus flood. Plus flood po ang tawag natin daw. Okay. The next is soil water or soil moisture. So take note that water in the soil is never be a pure water, no? 'Di ba may mga patalastas tayo ng mga mineral water, no? Pure water, hindi siya pure water kasi solution yun eh. Solution yung no matter how clear the soil is, the water is that is coming from the groundwater in the soil, hindi po siya purong H2O. Meron siyang dissolved ions whether you like it or not. That's why ang tawag po natin isa sa soil moisture ay soil solution. Solution because it contains dissolved ions and dissolved compounds in the system. Okay? So why is this so important? Sabi natin, pag walang tubig, walang buhay. Okay? Pag walang lupa, walang tubig. Okay? Kasi doon na-stuck yung tubig natin doon sa lupa eh. So if you recall the hydrology or the water cycle, okay, 'di ba? Mayroon tayong figure ng water cycle wherein you can determine how much water is present for crop production by year. Meron po 'yan. If I can provide it to you siguro tomorrow. Meron ako nung kailan hindi pala naisama dito. So water is one of the most variable constituents of soil. No? Different soils have different capacities to hold water. So when we are talking about soil moisture or soil solution in that particular case, or soil water, kung ano man yung gusto niyong itawag, okay? So importante pong alamin natin kung gaano ba magtatagal yung tubig doon. Okay? Gaano ba kabilis mag-move yung tubig dun sa root zone. Okay? So if we are talking about soil moisture in relation to crop growth, we are more concerned on the potential energy of the water, no? Kasi 'di ba meron tayong dalawang energy ng ating water. We have the kinetic energy and we have the potential energy. If we are talking about soil conservation or soil erosion, we are more concerned on the kinetic energy of the water. Yung kinetic energy ng rainfall kasi kaya-kaya niyang mag-break ng particles. Okay, so napansin nyo, halimbawa sa bahay ninyo, meron yung faucet na tumutulo ng matagal. Kahit semento, kaya niyang butasin, di ba? Hindi may butas na malaki-malaki, pero kaya niyang magkaroon ng butas. And that is because of kinetic energy. In crop production, we are more concerned on the potential energy of water. And this has something to do with how water is moving within the system. Because water will not be moving in the system, that is in the soil rhizosphere, if there is no variation in the water potential. So therefore, water is moving from an area of high water potential to the area of low water potential. Okay? Kaya merong tendency na yung nagdidilig kayo ng halaman, pero bakit yung halaman ninyo nalalanta pa rin? Okay? So explain natin mamaya. Sabi na, if too much water is present in a soil and will not drain out, plant roots may die because of lack of oxygen. Kaya importanteng alamin natin how water is moving within the system. Okay? If too little water is present, plant growth is slows down and ceases, finally wilting ensues, no? So magtataka kayo, bakit kaya dinidiligan ko naman yung aking halaman? Mga plantitas dyan. Everyday naman akong nagdidilig. Pero pagdating ng tanghali, nalalanta na yung halaman ko. Maybe because the water is not moving, is not enough to move to the root zone. Okay? So much the same thing happens to microorganisms living in the soil. Pag sobra ng tubig, nalulunod yung ating beneficial microorganisms, mamamatay sila. Pag kulang naman ng tubig for the requirements, yung ating beneficial microorganisms, the soil is too dry, much of the soil organisms may die. Kaya importante, alamin natin, ano ba yung exact na moisture content na ating kailangan. Di ba meron tayong field capacity and permanent wilting point, no? Pag ang moisture status nyo nakarating na dun sa permanent wilting point and the water is at 15 bar, kahit lunurin nyo pa yung halaman nyo kinabukasan, hindi na yun mabubuhay kasi permanent wilting point na siya, yung lupa. Hindi na yun mabubuhay ulit. Okay, so the difference between the field capacity is the moisture that is held at 1/3 bar, no? Pag alam natin tong dalawa na to, alam natin yung how water is at field capacity and that is 1/3 bar and how much is at field capacity. Yung pagitan nun, yun po yung available water. So yun yung concern natin when we are talking about soil moisture. Ito po yung nare-retain sa soil, ha. We are not talking on the water outside of the system. Kung kailan tayo magpapatubig at kung kailan hindi magpapatubig. It's important we have to know the potential energy of our soil water or soil moisture. Okay. The next is soil aeration. Okay. This is the interchange of gases, especially oxygen of the soil atmosphere with those of the free atmosphere above the soil. So sabi natin kanina, importante yung oxygen dun sa root kasi kailangan din ng ating halaman yung oxygen. Now, if we have much of the microorganisms activity in the soil and they are producing a very high amount of carbon dioxide under aerobic condition, so tataas yung carbon dioxide content dun sa ating soil atmosphere. Now, under anaerobic condition where oxygen is limiting, just like in the transplanted rice, there is, if aeration is poor, there is a tendency that we accumulate methane gas in the system, or there is a possibility that hydrogen sulfide gas will be accumulated in the system, particularly in areas where you have the volcanic eruption or sulfur. Sulfur is very high in the system. No? I have a very good example in Zambales. We went to Zambales, tapos San Antonio to be specific. Yung palay nung magsasaka is namamatay, nagbo-brown, tapos nalagay na daw niya lahat ng pataba, etc. etc. Nung tiningnan ko, pumunta ako, sabi, pakitingnan niya. Sabi ko, that is sulfur toxicity and iron toxicity na yan. So mataas ang hydrogen sulfide. Considering na Mount Pinatubo eruption, mataas yung sulfur emission. Tapos hindi na-drain agad-agad yung lupa nila, so nagkaroon ng hydrogen sulfide, H2S. ang tawag doon is the Aki-Ochi disease. It's not actually a disease, but this is because of poisoning of the roots because of hydrogen sulfide gas in the system. So, nangyayari yun, nakala mo may sakit yung halaman, but it's not due to pathogenic organism, but that is because of toxic gases that is accumulating in the root zone. Okay. Oxygen, because of its direct involvement in respiration, is necessary for the proper functioning of roots and soil microorganisms. If the supply of oxygen is restricted, both root extension and uptake of nutrients in water by roots may be limited. So ganun din ka-importante yung process ng aeration. And this aeration is affected by compaction, no? So kailangan buhag-hag yung lupa natin. We can ensure a 50% porosity or better, then that is the best physical condition of our soil. On the other hand, a lack of oxygen also tends to arrest organic matter decomposition. So pag kulang naman ng oxygen at mataas yung accumulation ng ating soil ng ating organic materials dun sa ating lupa, matatagalan yung organic matter decomposition. So pag laging submerged yung lupa natin, tapos mataas yung accumulation ng organic material, pwedeng makadevelop ng pit soil, yung organic soil, or kumunoy ang tawag natin sa Tagalog, sa Ilocano ay gayong-gayong. Okay? So actually, a pit soil is a problem soil kasi sobra ng taas ng organic matter yun kasi kulang ng oxygen dun sa system. Okay? And the associated release of mineral nutrients, and it may cause the reduction of iron, manganese, and sulfate to forms that are toxic to plants. So ito po yung nangyayari doon sa lahar areas, the lowland puddle dries in some towns in Zambales. Taas po yung kanilang iron. So ang taas ng iron toxicity at saka ng sulfur toxicity. Manganese hindi masyado, but these two, iron and sulfate, because of a very poor aeration within the system. So sabi ko dun sa magsasaka, ano po yung pwede kong gawin? Sabi ko, araruhin nyo na po yung palay nyo, hindi na yan mabubuhay at wag na kayong magtanim ng palay kasi ganyan din yung mangyayari. Mag-change kayo ng land use, magkamote na lang kayo or upland condition yung dapat yung lupa ninyo. Okay, so the second of the properties of the soil that has direct link to crop production is the chemical properties. And these are some important soil chemical properties. Marami naman yan, pero ito lang yung i-discuss natin. We have the cation exchange capacity. This is the net negative charge of the soil to hold positive ions. So ito yung CEC would indicate fertility level. So pag mataas po yung cation exchange capacity ng lupa ninyo, more than 20 milli-equivalent per 100 gram of soil, and that is your soil is fertile. So in short, if we are assessing soil fertility, it is a must that we have to analyze cation exchange capacity. Importante po yun. Second is electrical conductivity. This has something to do with salinity or salt accumulation in the system. Okay? So ito, problema natin dyan sa mga areas along the seashores o malapit sa dagat. Posibleng meron tayo nitong mataas yung ating electrical conductivity. The third, which is very important, is the soil pH or soil reaction is either soil acidity or soil alkalinity. So mas marami tayong problema sa acid soil or soil acidity. Okay? And of course, the third one is the soil nutrient contents. And these are your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, yung 16 essential elements. So kasama po yun dun sa chemical properties. Ito po yung mga ina-analyze natin dun sa laboratory. So hindi po natin na-analyze ito ng kagaya dun sa ating soil texture and structure. Pwede dun sa field. Okay po. Yan. So pag pinag-usapan po natin kasi yung cation exchange capacity, soil nutrient contents, and soil pH or electrical conductivity, these are all related to soil nutrients, or these are related to soil nutrients or the 16 essential elements. So ito po yung ating 16 essential element, di ba? Meron tayo, syempre, yung carbon, hydrogen, oxygen in the form of carbon dioxide and water, no? So take note that carbon dioxide in water are the ingredients for the photosynthesis to occur. In agriculture, in crop production, photosynthesis is the most important process. Pag walang photosynthesis, walang growth. Okay? So, yan po yun, yung carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Kailangan ng halaman natin as carbon dioxide and water. So, ibig sabihin yan, di ang taas na ng ating, kanina nakinig ako ng online seminars sa one university in the Visayas, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan. So, ang ating current carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere is nasa 400 ppm plus na. So, napakataas na. So, paano makaka-affect sa crop production? Kailangan pala ng carbon dioxide doon sa photosynthesis. Pero, pag mataas po kasi yung carbon dioxide, mataas din ang air temperature, no? So, problema natin doon sa crop production. So, ang isang dyan is hindi naman basta-basta bababa yun kasi kasama ngayon sa climate change eh. So, how we're going to manage the very high carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? Pataasin natin yung absorption ng carbon dioxide ng ating halaman by planting and a closer in a higher density, no? So, mas lapit-lapit yung ating magiging halaman para mas madami silang ma-fix na carbon dioxide. And of course, we have the macronutrients. We have the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and micronutrients. So, importante po to dun sa chemical composition. Alam nyo dapat itong 16 essential elements na to. Ibig sabihin yan, pag kulang yung isa dyan, if one of these 16 essential elements are limiting in the soil, then we cannot complete the life cycle of the crops. Ibig sabihin, hindi magbubunga yung inyong halaman or hindi magpo-form ng seed. Dapat seed to seed yun. Okay? So then take note that these 13 are derived from the soil, no? And 12, except for nitrogen, all these 12 are coming from your rocks and minerals. Okay? Ang nitrogen, ang ultimate source po ng ating nitrogen is the nitrogen gas in the atmosphere as well as the organic matter. So yun lang po yun. Wala tayong rocks na merong nitrogen. Yan. So, ano ba yung essential elements na sinasabi ko? These are the elements that are required for the normal growth and reproduction. So, ang hirap naman niyang i-memorize, ma'am, yan. Madali lang, ito yung code, Chopkins, magkafe, many carb zone, commonly closed. Naturally, nawawala yung close. Close dapat to eh. Sorry. So, itong mga nasa red, ito yung 16 essential elements. So, madali lang, pag minemorize nyo to, Chopkins, magkafe, many carb zone, commonly closed. And that's it. Nilagyan lang natin yung naturally, hindi siya nakared yung sodium kasi hindi siya essential element. Importante lang yan sa coconut. Okay? Yan. So, alamin ninyo na dapat meron yan. Your soil should be able to provide adequate amounts of these 16 essential elements. Okay? Yan. The next is the pH po. I-discuss natin bukas sa soil health management. Microbiological properties, and this has something to do with soil organic matter and the microbial load. Dati po ang soil organic matter nasa chemical properties, but now they put it under the microbiological properties kasi po ang soil organic matter is the ultimate energy source ng ating microorganisms. Pag walang soil organic matter, mamamatay po yung ating mga microorganisms, and this is because the organic carbon is the ultimate energy source of our microorganisms. Okay po, so why organic matter is important? Sabi natin, di ba, 5% organic matter normal soil. Sabi, increases the availability of nutrients directly and indirectly. As directly as organic matters decompose, nutrients are converted into forms that plants can use directly. So, pagka plant-based yung ating organic material, syempre, kompleto ng 16 essential elements yun. The fertility level, the cation exchange capacity is produced during the decomposition process, increasing the soil's ability to retain calcium, magnesium, and ammonium. Kasi po, ang soil organic matter, mataas yung CEC. Okay? So ito po yung rason kung bakit yung acidic soil, lalagyan daw ng organic material para mabago yung acidity. Hindi po yung totoo. Tataas lang yung cation exchange capacity but it will not change the pH. Organic molecules are produced that hold and protect a number of micronutrients such as zinc and iron. So meron pa rin po nanggagaling sa organic matter ating zinc and iron. Okay, indirectly naman po, substances produced by microorganisms promote better root growth and healthier roots, and with a larger and healthier root system, plants are able to take in nutrients more easily. So, ibig sabihin po nito, yung mga during the microbial activities, nagpo-produce po yan ng mga organic compounds. Itong organic compounds na to, sila po yung tinatawag natin na cementing agents. Okay? Sila po yung responsible in the process of aggregation. So, ibig sabihin, pag walang organic matter ang ating lupa, hindi magpa-function yung ating microorganisms, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng organic compound that will serve as cementing agents in order for aggregation to proceed. So, ibig sabihin yan, pag ganon, problema na yung ating lupa. Okay? It contributes to greater amounts of water retention following rains because it improves soil structure and thereby improves water holding capacity. Ito po sinasabi ko. This results in better plant growth and health and allows more movement of mobile nutrients as nitrates to the roots. Okay? So, ganun po ka-importansya yung soil organic matter. Kaya yun po yung unang-una natin dapat na minamanage sa ating lupa kasi the soil organic matter is the life of the soil. Okay, is the life of the soil. Yan, it is the key to building and maintaining healthy soils because it has such great positive influences on essentially all soil properties, helping to grow healthier plants. It also plays a critical role in the water, nitrogen, and carbon cycles. It consists mainly of the living organisms in the soil. The living, maybe sabihin mga roots or the pag namatay kasi yung microorganisms, maigsi lang naman ang life cycle niyan, sila yung the living organisms in the source of organic matter. The fresh residue and the very well decomposed materials, and sometimes they call it the very dead and the dead. Each of these types of organic matter plays an important role in maintaining healthy soil. So, pag mababa po organic matter natin, ang ating lupa po ay may sakit. Okay? Yan. The next is the microbial load or the microorganisms. This is a battle between the beneficial and the pathogenic. If your soil is sick or the organic matter is low, mas nagtatribe po yung ating pathogenic microorganisms. Kaya mas maraming sakit yung ating halaman. Pag mas maraming sakit, mas maraming gastos kasi kailan nating sprayan. Pagka po yung ating soil ay healthy, then there will be more beneficial microorganisms than the pathogenic organisms. Parang survival of the fittest ang mangyayari. And then, if we are talking about microbial load, it is also important na hindi lang madami yung beneficial microorganisms, but they should be diverse. Okay? Kailangan diverse yung ating beneficial microorganisms because they have their own role in soil processes in order to produce the nutrients required by our plant growth and development. Okay, so yun po yung understanding the soil in relation po sa ating crop production. Ano po? Yan. So tuloy-tuloy po tayo, no, ma'am. Yung susunod po ay balik tayo sa Zoom. So ano na ba status ng ating Philippine agricultural lands? Okay, nag-browse po ako. The total land area of the Philippines more or less 30 million hectares, no? Data dun sa Google kagaya 42 million hectares and that is in 2020. 2022 na, baka dumami na rin yung nakatanim na mga puntod at saka mga bahay sa ating mga agricultural land. So more or less nandyan sa 13 million hectares yung ating agricultural crop production. Okay. So dito po sa ating agricultural crop production, meron po tayong 17 millions na acidic soil. So ibig sabihin yan, these are naturally acidic soil. So acid na po talaga siya na ipinanganak, no? So kasi yung kanilang parent materials are acid forming rocks and minerals. So normal na naturally acidic soil po yun, that is 17 million hectares, which comprise around 58% of the total areas in the Philippines. 58%, no? So anong implication nito? Kung yung 17 million hectares are acidic soil, naturally acidic soil, then these are less productive, no, than our normal soil. Pag sinabi nating less productive, to make it more productive, then we have to spend more. So, but there are studies that these acidic soils, natural acidic soils, can be productive if we only manage the acidity. Ngayon, dahil sana itong mga acidic soils na to na less productive ang ginagawang mga subdivision, ang ginagawang mga sementeryo o yung ginagawang mga industrial lands, no? Ang problema, ang nangyayari, itong mga productive agricultural land, mga first-class agricultural land, ang naku-convert sa other land uses, no? So sana, nasaan ba itong mga acidic soils na to? The acidic soils in the Philippines are usually naman kasi nasa mountainous areas, nasa upland areas, and these are your red and yellow soils. So usually red soils are naturally acidic soils. So anong gagawin natin? Can this be productive? Oo naman, kasi ang pineapple plantation sa Tagaytay, nag-analyze kami dyan ng acidic. Acidic soils yung mga less than 5.5 yung pH, pero very productive yung kanilang mga pineapple doon because they're able to manage the acidity effectively, no? Effectively. Okay, so in the Philippines, nakakalungkot man po to, the most cropland soils are virtually dead. Okay, they are virtually dead. The microorganisms were killed by chemicals. Why? Why they are virtually dead? Because there is a serious lack of soil organic matter. So sabi natin kanina, normal soil should have 5% organic matter. In the average, ang ating organic or soil organic matter of agricultural land in the Philippines has 2 or less than 2% soil organic matter. Ganyan na po ka-deteriorated yung ating mga kalupaan na agricultural land, no? So ngayon, may mga 3% naman, ito yung mga nagpa-practice ng organic farming. So medyo na-improve na nila yung soil organic matter, but the organic is small kumpara dun sa ilang milyon na ating mga agricultural land, no? So isang culprit pa dun sa virtually dead soil is because of farm mechanization, no? Ito kasi, pag palaging ganyan yung ginagamit natin sa ating pagsasaka, tapos kulang yung soil organic matter, nasisiksik yung ating kalupaan. Okay. So approximately, because of this, approximately more or less 3 million hectares that have been cultivated continuously for more than 15 years, okay, are seriously deteriorated due to rapid loss of organic matter and poor microbial load. Ang sabi natin kanina, soil organic matter is the life of the soil. Why? Because if we have a very low soil organic matter, we have also a very poor microbial load. Kaya kahit po gumastos pa ang ating Department of Agriculture come up with this biofertilizers or this inoculant, microbial inoculants, if we will do anything about improving the soil organic matter, these are just loss of money and resources. So because of this one, these stable yields are not possible with chemical fertilizers alone. So take note of that. kahit po maglagay tayo ng maraming chemical fertilizers, kung hindi po natin ibabalik yung buhay ng lupa natin o hindi natin gagamutin yung lupa natin by improving the soil organic matter, hindi po tayo magkakaroon ng stable yields. Anong ibig sabihin ng stable yields? Halimbawa, in rice po tayo. We have so many high-yielding varieties, both the inbred and hybrid. Sabi nila, ang hybrid rice, kayang-kaya ng 10 to 14 tons per hectare. Okay, kaya naman kaming mga farmers subukan natin mga varieties na hybrid. Siguro sa una, kaya yun mga 9 tons, malapit-lapit doon sa 10, no? Sa susunod na itinanim mo ulit doon sa lupa na pinagtamnan mo, yung 9 bababa yun. So hindi siya magiging stable yung potential yield ng variety na makukuha natin with chemical fertilizers alone. So take note of that. So ang program ngayon ng DA is to give ayuda of fertilizers. Ang sabi ko, magkano ba yung fertilizers na binibigay worth? Eh kung organic fertilizer na lang ang ibigay na libre ng gobyerno para gamutin yung ating naghihingalong lupa. Ako nga, sabi ko, our soils are already at the intensive care unit. So anytime it will die. Anytime it will die. Pagpatay na yung lupa natin mag-i-import na tayo lahat ng ating pagkain. Okay. Because organic fertilizer, bibilin mo yun sa mga farm supply, 300 pesos per bag. Okay? Yung bag na yun, hindi pa stable na 50 kilos. Okay? Kung minsan, basang-basa pa yun, so lugi. So sabi ko, sana ito yung gawin ng gobyerno. Total, merong programa ang composting facility, ang Bureau of Soil and Water Management. Tapos problema natin ang waste management sa ating mga municipalities. Bakit hindi convert ng bawat munisipyo lahat ng biodegradables into organic fertilizer at ibigay ng libre sa mga magsasaka para yung ating lupa ay magamot. Okay? So without this, we cannot have stable yields. Pag wala tayong stable yields, mananatili po tayong importer ng ating bigas, kahit na anong gawin niyo. The 20 pesos per kilo are possible. These are possible because I'm having it in the farm because I'm ginagamot ko yung sakit ng lupa namin. Okay. So anong ebidensya na namamatay yung ating kalupaan? So balikan po natin to. So importante pa to, itatak nyo sa utak ninyo that a normal soil should have 5% organic matter. Healthy po yung lupa natin. Okay, napakahirap pong abutin tong 5% dito sa ating bayang Pilipinas because we are under the tropical condition. So napakabilis po yung decomposition, mabagal yung accumulation. So may study nga po yung IRRI, more than 20 years long-term study ng rice through incorporation to increase organic matter. So na-reach lang nila, I think 3.1 or 3.2% in 20 years. No? So if you will not start now, kailan pa? So nandito tayo sa 2% or soil organic matter tayo. Very low soil organic matter. Okay, this is evidenced by soil test values, no? Pag nagtingin po kayo ng mga soil test values sa Bureau of Soil and Water Management, sa mga provincial laboratories, very seldom that we have a medium soil organic matter. Kundi low, very low to low, nandun yung soil organic matter content natin. Aside from the soil organic matter, masyado na rin pong mababa yung major elements required for plant nutrition, particularly for nitrogen. Ang bababa na po. Yan. So, anong nangyari? Anong cause nito? The main cause of the problem is intensive crop production that relied heavily on mechanical tillage, application of pesticides, and improper application of chemical fertilizers. Okay? Because of this, now we have a highly nutrient-depleted soil. We have a highly sick soil. And because of that condition, we cannot sustain crop production anymore. Okay, we cannot sustain crop production anymore. Kaya wag po natin isisisi lahat sa mga DA yung nag-i-import sila. Kung totoo man na kailangan talaga natin or hindi natin talaga kailangan kasi hindi natin talaga kayang i-produce yung ating mga pangangailangan because of a very poor soil health, because of a highly nutrient depleted soil. Ito, ganyan. Tapos, lalo ngayon, no, the government is trying to promote mechanical farming, no? Ako, as a salesman, patay tayo dyan. Patay tayo dyan sa mechanical farming. Sana, kagaya tayo ng Japan. Ang Japan, naka-discover na sila ng mechanical mga machine nila na ano lang yung gulong, hindi siya mabigat yung gulong para hindi nasisiksik yung lupa nila. Sana meron tayong mga inventor na maka-invent ng mechanical harvesters or tractor na hindi bumabaon ng masyado yung gulong or yung bigat doon sa ating lupa. Other than that, okay, yung ating pinopromote din ngayon na drone powered spraying, naku, pag pesticide spray mo dyan, patay tayo dyan. Yan. Anong solusyon? Mahal ba yan? Madali lang naman eh. Proper soil health, fertility, nutrient management lang naman. Okay? Proper soil health, fertility, nutrient management. We will discuss this tomorrow on how are we going to make our soil healthy again. How are we going to convert our soil healthy again in order to produce this enough food for all of us. Okay? Lalo na sa vegetable, I seldom buy vegetable in the market because these are loaded with pesticides. Okay? Okay, so this is a very, very, very good figure. Gusto ko lang ipakita sa inyo to. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina na madami tayong high-yielding varieties. So take note that the potential yield of any crop variety is defined by genetics, radiation, and temperature. Sa ito yon. So yung radiation and temperature sa ngayon, parang wala naman yata tayong control, no? Except mag-greenhouse ba tayo ng rice? Siyempre hindi. So genetics, ayan, mayroon na tayong ginagawa dyan kasi high-yielding varieties natin. That's why we have this much potential yield. But take note that the potential yield can only be attained if we have the best condition for growth and development. Okay, for growth and development. Pero sabi ko nga, hindi natin makokontrol to. Kaya, yung potential yield ng variety, ito lang yung attainable yield, no? Ang layo, no? The attainable yield by growth limiting factors, which is water and plant nutrition. Okay? Pag nag-El Nino tayo, itong dito, okay? Pag wala tayong pambili ng fertilizer at hindi natin ginamot yung lupa natin, yung attainable yield, bababa pa to. So, because these are yield increasing, we have to ensure to give the maximum yield increasing measures in order to, para yung ating attainable yield, lumapit-lapit naman dito sa potential yield. No? Kung ito yung attainable yield, at hindi natin na-control ito lang yung actual yield, baba, no? And these are governed by the growth-reducing factors, which are the weeds, pests, and diseases. Now, because soil is sick, madami tayong pests and disease, no? Ayan. So, in order for this actual yield to, lumapit siya dito sa attainable yield, dapat measures. So, yan in general. But then again, gusto ko lang kayong naman dito sa isang figure na to. Okay. So, sabi nito, if we have a poor climate and poor soil, nandito tayo ngayon di ba? So, 50% lang pala ng potential yield ang kaya nating ma-attain. If we have poor climate and poor soil, if we will not do anything to poor climate, medyo wala tayo dyan. Poor soil. Pagka poor climate, poor pa yung soil natin, ito lang tayo. But if we have a good climate, okay, so maganda yung klima natin, pero poor yung soil natin, medyo tataas yung attainable yield doon sa potential yield, almost 50% pa rin, no? Ang ano. Now, if we do something about this poor soil and we will make it good soil and we have the good climate, 25% lang more or less Ito lang based on this one. So we can have higher attainable yield, no? We have a higher attainable yield. So ang nangyayari sa atin ngayon, nandito tayo Eto tayo kaya ang farmers natin kawawa naman, hindi nabibigyan ng tamang training and how are going to increase the attainable yield, and that is only good soil stewardship, no? Ito lang 'yun, okay? Pagka good soil natin, kahit siguro poor yung climate natin, tataas pa rin yung ating attainable yield doon sa potential. Okay. Okay, how will we manage our soil then with that condition of our agricultural land? Kaya pa ba natin? Kaya pa naman natin How? Then we have to, farmers na kagaya ko, nandun sa webinar, parang awa na po natin. We should treat our soil not only as a medium for holding up the crops. Wag po ganun yung ating mindset. We have to treat our soil as a complex living system. So, ibig sabihin yan, pagka kasi may buhay ang isang bagay, bibigyan natin ng attention, di ba? Aalagaan na kasi hindi siya pwedeng mamatay kasi living siya konsensya de amor. So, andun yung konsensya natin. So, we have to treat our soil, which is our ultimate resource as a farmer, no? We have to treat it as a complex living system. Why? Because when we treat it as a complex living system, then we will manage it properly. Sabi niya, it will help control weeds and diseases. So, hindi masyadong magpo-proliferate ang weed growth and diseases, no? It will provide all the nutrient crops will need pagka it is well managed or healthy yung ating soil. It will store more water effectively and it will nurture a rich and invaluable microbial life. So, di ba, bongga, paraiso. Now, how are we going to see whether our soil is already papagaling na sa kanyang sakit? Ito yung indicator po sa lupa ninyo. Pag ang lupa ninyo ay meron pong bulate, earthworms, that indicates a good physical condition of your soil. Kasi conducive silang nakatira doon sa lupa ninyo. Ngayon, kung your soil is physically abused or physically sick, hindi magta-thrive itong earthworms na to dun sa lupa ninyo. Ngayon, kung hindi mabubuhay itong malalaking organisms na to, how much more the microorganisms? So, in short, matuwa kayo pag merong bulati dun sa inyong lupa because your soil is physically good, no? Pag physically good yan at patuloy natin aalagaan pa yan wherein we will use pesticide judiciously. Hindi nakakita lang ng isang insekto magi-spray o kaya nakalagay doon sa protocol ng varieties ng hybrid na binili ninyo, nakalagay doon, spray this kind of pesticide 15 days after transplanting. Ito namang farmers na hindi masyado yung sinusunod religiously yung protocol, magi-spray, wala namang sakit, wala namang insekto, bakit ka magi-spray? We are killing our soil. So in that case, we have to treat our soil as a complex living system. Ganun lang kadali naman pala yun. Okay? So how are we going to do this? We have to carefully plan and manage our soil resource that will lead to successful crop production. So tomorrow we'll discuss it. Managing this resource to produce good yields of high quality produce requires a long-term commitment. So hindi po naglagay kayo ng organic fertilizer bukas, maganda na yung soil organic matter ninyo. Tunilada po yung kailangan natin ilagay. Kasi pagka po yung inyong mga dayami, hinahayaan nyo lang magdecompose sa lupa ninyo, if you harvest 6 tons of paddy rice grain, you also have 6 tons of rice straw and rice stable. So, if you continuously incorporate that into the soil and let it decompose in there, so you are slowly managing your sick soil. Yun lang naman yung gamot doon. And it will require long-term commitment. Kaya sabi ko nga, Di ba, study ng Irish, 20 long-term experiments, ganun lang itinaas ng organic matter. Ngayon, kung hindi pa masusustain yun, mas mabilis pa rate yun, ma-deplete kaysa mag-accumulate. So, if during the process of conversion from conventional to organic-based man lang, or during the process of healing our soil or healing our lands, okay, we usually experience reduce in the yields, no? Normal lang naman yun. Pero in the long term, yung mas mababang yields na to, mako-compensate naman pagka magaling na yung sakit ng ating mga kalupaan. Okay, so in soil management, it is a must, therefore, that we have to know and understand the type of soil we are working in, that is the physical nature of our soil, the chemical, as well as the biological nature of our soil. Okay, so with that, I hope I was able to introduce you on how are you going to know your soil, no? Parang nililigawan nyo din yan. Kailang alamin nyo yung kaliit-liitang bagay dun sa gusto nyong taong makasama habang buhay. Ganun din po yung ating soil.